There are three principles of human nature that we always need to take into consideration anytime we are in the influence and persuasion process. Number one is everyone seeks happiness. This is human nature. Everyone seeks happiness. Now, again, we use a word like happiness, we've got to define that word. So we're all coming at it from the same place. The dictionary definition of happiness, and the one that Harry used, was simply the mental feeling of well being. The mental feeling of well being. Okay, that's what everyone seeks. Now, not consciously necessarily, unconsciously a lot of times, okay, but everyone seeks happiness. Now, I have a different definition of happiness that I use, which also works. It's probably not important for this thing, but I'm just going to give it to you anyway. It goes maybe a tiny bit deeper. I personally define happiness as a genuine and ongoing feeling of joy and peace of mind, the result of living congruently with one's values. Happiness is a genuine and ongoing feeling of joy and peace of mind, the result of living congruently with one's values. In other words, if we're not really living according to our values, not the values the world gives us, or people who we love give us, or the values that we think we should have, but no, what we truly value, if we're not living congruently with that, we can't be happy. Right. And so the mental feeling of well-being is the one we'll use for this. Everyone seeks happiness. But here's point number two: happiness is relative. We all understand happiness differently. What would bring happiness to one person would make someone else absolutely miserable, or might mean nothing to them at all. Right. So we have to understand our happiness isn't necessarily their happiness when we deal with people. We do a thing when we used to have the mastermind in-person ones. We would have we limited it to 8 people. These were in-person ones down here in Jupiter, Florida. And so with the 8 people, with our 2 go-giver speaker coaches, and Kathy and me, and it'd be 12 of us in the room. And I do this every single time. I'd say, how many of you in this room absolutely love traveling? If you could, you would be on planes, or you'd go everywhere, you'd be right. And 3/4 of the people would raise their hand every single time. Then I'd say, how many of you enjoy travel, and once or twice a year you'd like to do that, go on vacation somewhere nice, so forth? Practically everybody else would raise their hand. And then I'd say, how many of you absolutely loathe traveling? If you could, you'd never go anywhere else again. You'd never get on a plane. And it would be just me or perhaps one other person who would raise our hands every single time. In a room of only 12 people, there were 3 totally different examples of what would bring happiness. But here's the interesting thing: the people who love travel, whether all the time or even a couple times a year, who love travel, could not possibly understand how I could not enjoy, how I could loathe traveling. How could he not want to go to these interesting places and meet wonderful new people and see different, a whole bit, right? But I couldn't understand how anybody could possibly love to travel. Oh, you got to plan for this thing. You got to put your life on hold. You got to pack. You got to go to the airport. You got to get on a plane, and you got to stay at some other place, not sleep in your own bed. You've got to go out and do things, right? Okay. Now, one simple concept, 3 different opinions. And that's how it is. And this is the biggest mistake I think salespeople make, is that they assume that what they would find to be of value about their product or service is what their prospective customer or client would find to be valuable, what would make them happy, right? So we've always got to understand that while everyone seeks happiness, we all understand happiness differently. And we can never assume that what would make us happy about our product or service is what would make our customer happy about our product or service. But there's one more thing left. We know that everyone seeks happiness. Happiness is relative. But there's one more thing. Resources are limited. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about lack mentality. We live in an absolutely abundant universe. There's actually plenty for everybody. Okay. However, when it comes to those human things, we all have a certain amount of a limited amount of years in our life. Weeks in a year, months in a year, weeks in a month, days in a week, hours in a day, minutes in an hour, seconds in a minute. We all have a limited amount of time. We all have a limited amount of money, some more than others, but we all have a limited amount of money. We all have a limited amount of knowledge, some more than others, but we all have a limited amount of knowledge. We all have a limited amount of, right, all these types of things. So what happens is we're continually having to make choices. Some of these choices are conscious, but most of them are unconscious. And yet we're making thousands of choices every single day, right? And all of these choices are based on whether or not we believe that taking a certain action will move us closer to happiness, based on how we understand happiness, and based on the limited choices we believe we have. When we understand this, now we also understand sales, we understand leadership, we understand relationships, we understand, right? So Harry called that the story of life. And he said, now that we understand the story of life, we never have to wonder as to the basic reason why people will do something or not do something. It's because by doing so or not doing so, that will bring them, it will bring them closer to happiness.